sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
You might think you know a celebrity, right? Especially one who just seems, I don't know, like their energy and joy just kind of radiate through the screen. But what happens when that public persona, that happy face we see, actually hides a much deeper, a darker personal struggle?
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today.
Okay.
The life of Stephen Twitch Boss.
Yeah.
And the truly heartbreaking revelations that came after his passing.
Yeah, this is a story that I think really forces all of us to kind of examine our assumptions about, success and happiness and I guess the masks we all wear.
The masks we all wear.
Whether we're in the spotlight or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our main source for today is this exclusive interview Allison Holker, Twitch's widow, gave to People magazine.
Okay.
And it's just a really raw and honest look at like the complexities of mental health and the battles, the hidden battles that people are facing every day. And I think it also just makes us think about what it means to truly know someone.
Right.
Even those we love the most.
Absolutely.
So are you ready? Ready to unpack this?
Yeah, let's dive in.
All right. Okay, so just picture this. Allison Holker, she's picking out an outfit
Oh, wow.
for her boss's funeral. And she discovers, get this, she describes it as a cornucopia of drugs.
Wow.
Hidden in his shoe boxes.
Shoe boxes.
I mean, can you imagine the shock of that discovery at that moment?
It's hard to even fathom the emotional impact of that.
Right.
And, I think for Holker, it really just shattered the image that she had of her husband. And I think it raises a question for all of us listening too, like how well can we really know someone?
Right.
Even those who are closest to us.
And then it gets even more complex, right? Because then you have his personal journals.
Right.
And they reveal like a past filled with so much pain, including potential childhood sexual abuse.
Wow.
And Holker talks about at first, naturally feeling betrayed.
Right.
Which, I think anyone would in that situation. But then as she starts to like piece together this puzzle, the puzzle of his internal world, she says she shifted to empathy. And a deeper understanding.
Yeah, and that's where I think it becomes really crucial to understand like the lasting impact of trauma.
Right.
Especially when it's not addressed.
Yeah.
Experts say it can really manifest in unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And I think, in this tragic situation, it really makes you wonder if that's what was happening.
With the drugs.
With the drugs.
Yeah, it's almost like his past pain was casting this really long shadow over everything.
Exactly.
And then we have this other layer to the story, which is this duality to Twitch.
Right.
Right. So on one hand, you have this energetic, extroverted entertainer that we all knew and loved.
Right.
And on the other hand, there was Stephen.
Right.
The more introverted person.
The quiet one.
Yeah, the quiet one who, he was really striving for perfection as a husband and father. And Holker initially viewed these two sides as healthy, like almost like different parts of himself, he was able to express.
Yeah, different facets of his personality that he could kind of tap into.
Right. And it's interesting because, I think to some degree we all do this.
We do. We all wear different hats.
We all wear different hats, different situations.
Exactly. And I think psychologists would probably say it's a way of adapting in different social situations.
Yeah.
But, I think it can also lead to a sense of almost like fragmentation.
Yeah.
If we're not careful.
It makes you wonder, right, if these two sides of Twitch, this duality, as Holker called it, were kind of battling each other inside.
Right. Like an internal struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think about how we often look at people, especially people who seem to have it all, like Twitch.
Yeah.
And we just assume that everything must be perfect in their lives.
You just see the surface,
Yeah.
Don't see what's going on underneath.
You don't see what's going on underneath. And then Holker shared this other really poignant detail about Boss's last interaction with their daughter, Wesley.
Oh, wow.
He told her, "I wish I could be your Superman."
Oh, God.
And just the weight of those words.
Yeah.
Knowing what happened after.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to those complex emotions that someone struggling with their mental health might be dealing with, the love, the guilt, the despair.
The despair.
And perhaps even, a desire to shield their loved ones from their pain.
From their pain.
Yeah.
And for Wesley, it's just so much.
So much to carry.
For a young person to process.
Yeah.
Holker even talked about how it just adds another layer of difficulty.
Right.
For her daughter, as a teenager, trying to navigate grief and make sense of those last words.
Absolutely.
And I think it's just a reminder that mental health challenges don't just impact the individual, right? They ripple outward, affecting families.
And communities.
Whole communities.
In such profound ways.
Yeah.
So with all of that said, I mean, where do we go from here? What can we learn?
Well, one thing that I think really stands out for me is Holker's commitment to using her platform, her voice, to try and destigmatize these conversations about mental health.
Right.
She's been working with organizations like the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, and Maple Counseling,
okay,
to raise awareness and try to provide support to others.
It's incredible how she's turning, this unimaginable loss into something positive.
It's inspiring, really.
Yeah.
And NAMI, by the way, is an amazing resource for anyone out there who might be struggling, with their mental health, or even if you're supporting a loved one who is.
Yeah.
They offer support groups, education, advocacy. It's just a great reminder that no one has to go through this alone. And, Holker's key message throughout all of this has been, mental health can impact anyone.
Anyone.
And it's just crucial, so crucial, to be supportive and listen without judgment.
Without judgment.
Which brings us back to, what we're really talking about today.
Right.
How can you be a better listener?
Right.
A better supporter for those around you?
Right. And I think, that's a great question. How can we? How can we show up?
How can we show up for others?
For others, yeah. What are maybe some small but impactful ways?
Small ways.
To make a difference. I think, sometimes it's as simple as really checking in with someone and asking, how are you really doing?
How are you really doing?
And then really listening.
And really listen
to the answer. Just offering a non-judgmental ear, validating their feelings and letting them know that they're not alone. I think those things can make a world of difference. And recognizing that even, the people in our lives who seem like they have it all together might be fighting an invisible battle.
Yeah. And this situation with Twitch and his family, it really highlights how important it is to pay attention to those signs. Even when someone is projecting, happiness and success, there could be something else going on beneath the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where it becomes so important to really try and have those open and honest conversations.
About mental health.
About mental health. We need to create a culture where people feel safe.
Safe.
To talk about their struggles and ask for help without fear of judgment.
And speaking of signs, Holker shared this other detail that really struck me. She said that in the weeks leading up to his passing, Twitch started having these really intense, almost debilitating panic attacks.
Panic attacks can be really terrifying. And a lot of people don't realize that they can actually be a symptom of an underlying mental health condition.
Oh, okay.
Like anxiety or depression.
So it's not just a matter of feeling stressed or overwhelmed?
Right. It's important to understand that panic attacks are a physiological response. Your body is essentially going into fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
Even though there's no immediate danger present.
Right.
And it can feel like you're having a heart attack. You might have difficulty breathing, feel dizzy, or even experience a sense of kind of a detachment from reality.
Wow, that sounds really scary.
It is scary. And for someone like Twitch, who was, as we talked about, so full of life and energy, to experience those kinds of attacks, that must have been incredibly disorienting.
Yeah.
And really just underscores how mental health struggles can affect anyone, regardless of their outward appearance.
Or success.
Yeah.
And for anyone listening who might be experiencing panic attacks themselves, what would you say to them?
First of all, please know that you're not alone. Panic attacks are actually quite common, and there are really effective treatments available.
Okay.
If you're having these kinds of attacks, it's crucial to reach out to a healthcare professional. They can, help you understand what might be triggering them and develop a treatment plan that works for you.
So what are some things people can do to help a loved one who might be struggling with with panic attacks or other mental health challenges?
That's a great question. One of the most important things you can do is simply be there for them. Listen without judgment, offer support, encouragement, and let them know that you care.
No.
It's also important, I think, to educate yourself about mental health conditions.
Right.
So you can better understand what they're going through.
So it's all about, creating that safe and supportive space for them to open up.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to be a therapist to be a supportive friend or family member.
Right.
Sometimes just being a good listener and letting them know they're not alone can make a huge difference.
And if someone is like in an immediate crisis, what resources are available?
There are a number of crisis hotlines and resources available 24/7. You can call the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988, or you can text HOME to 741-741 to connect with the crisis text line. These services provide confidential support for anyone experiencing a mental health crisis.
It's so important to have those readily available, especially in those moments when someone might feel like they have nowhere else to turn.
Absolutely. And remember, seeking help is a sign of strength. It's not a weakness.
Right.
Taking that step, reaching out, it can be incredibly empowering.
I think this whole story with Twitch has just been so eye-opening. It really underscores how important it is to talk openly and honestly about mental health. And Holker has been incredibly brave in sharing her family's experience. She has.
And advocating for really destigmatizing these conversations.
And by sharing her story, she's helping countless others feel less alone.
Less alone.
And encouraging them to seek help. I mean, it's a powerful reminder that we can all play a role in creating a more compassionate and supportive world.
So if someone is struggling, how can you approach them in a way that's sensitive and helpful?
Well, first, I think it's important to choose a time and place where you can have a private and uninterrupted conversation.
Okay.
Let them know that you've noticed they haven't been themselves lately, and that you're concerned. And try to avoid being judgmental or dismissive of their feelings.
So don't say things like, just snap out of it, or you have nothing to be depressed about.
Right. Those kinds of comments can be incredibly invalidating. And they can actually make someone less likely to open up.
Right.
Instead, try to focus on listening actively and validating their emotions.
What does active listening look like in this context? Well, it involves really paying attention to both their words and their nonverbal cues.
Mm-hmm.
So, maintain eye contact, nod your head to show that you're engaged,
Right.
and ask clarifying questions to make sure that you understand their perspective.
Yeah.
You really want to create a space where they feel heard and understood.
And if they do open up to you, what's the best way to respond?
Well, first and foremost, thank them for sharing their feelings with you. Let them know that you appreciate their trust. You can say something like, I'm so glad you told me. It means a lot that you feel comfortable sharing this with me.
Yeah.
And then resist the urge to offer unsolicited advice or try to fix their problems.
So no jumping into problem-solving mode right away.
Right. It's natural to want to help, but sometimes the best thing you can do is simply listen and offer your support. Let them know that you're there for them no matter what. You can say things like, I'm here for you, or I'm not going anywhere.
So it's more about validating their feelings and letting them know that they're not alone than trying to find a quick fix.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if they're open to it, you can gently encourage them to seek professional help. You can offer to help them find a therapist or a support group, or even accompany them to appointments if they'd like.
Right. Those are all really great suggestions. And it's important to remember that supporting someone with their mental health, it's an ongoing process.
It is.
It's not a one-time conversation.
That's a great point. It's important to continue checking in with them, offering support, and letting them know you care.
This conversation is really making me think about how we view mental health in our society. It's often seen as this separate thing from our overall well-being, but it's all interconnected, isn't it?
Absolutely. Mental health is just as important as physical health.
Right.
And it's something we all need to prioritize.
So how can we as individuals and as a society, how can we start to shift that perspective?
Right.
And create a more supportive environment for mental well-being?
Well, I think one crucial step is to continue having these open and honest conversations, like we're doing right now.
Right.
The more we talk about it, the less stigma there will be.
Mm.
We need to normalize seeking help when we need it, just like we would for a physical illness.
That's so true. And we need to start these conversations early.
Early.
You know, like teaching kids about mental health and emotional well-being from a young age.
Absolutely. Early intervention is key. By equipping young people with the tools and the knowledge they need to understand and manage their mental health, we can help them build resilience and develop healthy coping mechanisms.
It's about creating a culture where it's okay to not be okay.
Right.
Where asking for help is seen as a sign of strength,
Strength.
not weakness, and where everyone feels supported and valued.
Exactly. And that brings us to the question of self-care. We can't pour from an empty cup.
We can't pour from an empty cup.
If we want to be there for others, we need to take care of our own mental well-being as well.
So what are some things we can all do to prioritize our own mental health?
Well, there are many different strategies that can be helpful.
Yeah.
Finding healthy ways to manage stress is essential. Things like exercise, spending time in nature, practicing mindfulness or meditation, and engaging in hobbies you enjoy. These things can make a big difference.
Yeah, it's about finding what works for you, right?
Yeah.
And making time, even when life gets busy.
Right. And remember, self-care isn't selfish. It's essential for our overall well-being. And it allows us to show up more fully for ourselves and for others.
Right. It's like putting on your own oxygen mask first.
Exactly. You have to take care of yourself first before you can effectively care for others.
This deep dive into the life of Stephen Twitch Boss and the complexities of mental health, it's just been, I don't know, it's been incredibly insightful.
Yeah.
And honestly quite emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also been incredibly empowering. We've learned so much about the complexities of mental health, the importance of seeking help, and really the power of connection and support.
It's been an honor to explore this topic with you, and I hope our listeners have found it valuable.
And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I think it's important to acknowledge that dealing with grief and loss, it's a very personal and individual journey. There's no right or wrong way to grieve, and it's okay to feel a wide range of emotions.
Absolutely. Grief is a natural human response to loss, and it can manifest in so many different ways. Allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling, and don't be afraid to reach out for support if you need it.
There are so many resources available to help people navigate grief and loss, including support groups, counseling services, and even online communities.
And remember, healing takes time. Be patient with yourself and allow yourself to grieve at your own pace.
And it's so important to remember that, even in the darkest of times, there's always hope. And that's something that Holker has really, I think, emphasized throughout her journey.
Right.
She's been so open about her own struggles,
right,
with grief and depression.
Yeah.
But she's also spoken about the importance of finding ways to, I don't know, like honor Twitch's memory and keep his spirit alive.
It's really beautiful. It's a testament to the power of love and resilience. Even in the face of such immense pain and loss, she's choosing to focus on the positive and finding ways to help others. It's a powerful message.
Yeah. So as we kind of reflect on everything we've learned today, what are some key takeaways you hope our listeners will walk away with?
Well, I think first and foremost, I hope this deep dive has really just reinforced the importance of prioritizing mental health, both for ourselves and for those around us. We need to break down the stigma surrounding mental health challenges and really create a culture of openness and support. We need to remember that mental health is just as important as physical health. And it's something we all need to nurture and take care of.
It's about recognizing that it's okay to not be okay, right? And that seeking help is a sign of strength.
Strength, not weakness.
Not weakness.
Yeah. We all go through difficult times in our lives, and there's absolutely no shame in asking for help when we need it.
Yeah.
In fact, reaching out for support can be incredibly empowering, and it can help us, navigate those challenges more effectively.
And I think Twitch's story, it really highlights the importance of checking in on the people around us, even the people who seem to have it all together. We never truly know, what someone else is going through. And a simple act of kindness, a listening ear, it can make a world of difference.
It can. Sometimes just knowing that someone cares and is there for you, it can be so comforting.
Yeah.
And it can really give you the strength to keep going. We all have a role to play in creating a more compassionate and supportive world.
So if you're struggling with your mental health, please know that you're not alone.
You're not alone.
There are resources available, people who care, and there's hope. There's hope for a brighter tomorrow.
Reach out. Reach out to a trusted friend or family member. Seek professional help. Connect with one of the many organizations that are dedicated to supporting mental well-being.
Yeah.
There is help available, and you deserve to feel better.
And if you are, supporting someone who is struggling, remember to be patient and understanding and non-judgmental. Listen with your heart. Validate their feelings and encourage them to seek professional help if they need it. Your support can make a real difference in their journey.
It can. It's about creating that safe space where people feel comfortable opening up and sharing their struggles.
This deep dive has been, I think, incredibly insightful.
It has.
And honestly, quite emotional. But I think it's also been incredibly empowering. We've learned so much about, mental health, the importance of seeking help, and the power of connection and support.
It's been an honor to explore this topic with you, and I hope our listeners have found it valuable and informative.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with just one final thought. If someone as outwardly happy and successful as Twitch could be struggling so deeply, what does that tell you about the importance of checking in on those around you, even the ones who seem to have it all together?
Yeah.
Let that be a reminder to reach out, to connect, and to offer a listening ear. You never know what someone might be carrying beneath their smile.
And remember, even small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect. By being more mindful, compassionate, and supportive, we can create a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back next week with another fascinating exploration. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.